Hurry now and get your buddies. It's time for fun with social studies. We're going to learn some history.
Welcome to Fun with Social Studies, Episode 2. Today's topic, American Indians. For the American Indian unit, students need to know 5 different American Indian tribes. The big idea is that each tribe has to use their environment to get clothing, food, and shelter. So the tribes are spread over the continent, and each tribe has to deal with different conditions and adapt to different conditions. So the Inuit are actually way up in Alaska and northern Canada, and they're dealing with freezing temperatures up there in the tundra. For clothing, they're doing sealskin. They hunt walrus, polar bear, seals, birds, caribou, things like that for food. And their main shelter is their igloos, which are made out of ice, because that's the resource they have for shelter. The Kwakiutl are here in the Pacific Northwest. We talked about big figure walking through the forest, eating little Kwakiutl Indians. The Kwakiutl, they actually have a great situation because they live on the rocky beaches in the Northwest. So they have a beautiful ocean on one side, and on the other side the giant forests where they believe Big Figure is stalking Kwakiutls. But they make totem poles, but their shelters are called plank houses, which are made out of lumber from trees from the forest. They actually make tree bark clothes that are waterproof, we learned about. And they also, of course, use animal skin because they have animals in the forest like bear and deer that they hunt. So their conditions are very different than the Inuit, who are in the freezing temperatures, but their big thing is they have to deal with rain all year round. The Pueblo are here in the southwest, and they are known as cliff dwellers because they built their adobe shelters up against cliffs. And those shelters are made out of adobe, the clay, and the rooms are stacked on top of each other, and they have ladders to get to each room. But they're dealing with really hot temperatures, but actually they have very advanced irrigation systems which they use to grow crops. And so their main food source is actually farming, corn, bean, squash, the 3 sisters. And they actually wear cotton clothes. The Lakota is a favorite of a lot of kids because everything is buffalo, buffalo, buffalo. They're nomadic, so they follow the herd. Their homes are called teepees, made out of buffalo skin, and they're portable, just like DS or PSP. And so anyway, they if the herd moves, then the whole tribe follows them. But they eat the buffalo meat, they wear the buffalo clothes, they make their homes, their shelters out of buffalo. And on the Great Plains, it's very that's where the land increases westward. But in the Great Plains, it's pretty flat, so it's perfect for the buffalo herds eating the grass. Over here, we have our last tribe is the Iroquois, and the girls really like this one because in the Iroquois society, women are very powerful, and if you get married, you move to your wife's home, not your husband's, because the men don't own any homes, and even the lineage is traced through the female side. And women get to pick the chiefs, and so they pick people who they can will do what they want. And so women are very powerful in the society. But the Iroquois is actually a large nation made up of 6 large nations. The Iroquois nation, which are made up of dozens of smaller tribes. And the men do the hunting, the women do the farming, and they wear deerskin clothes because they have the eastern woodlands here where they do all their hunting. And so I got clothing, shelter. Oh, in the shelter they live in longhouses, which are half the size of a football field. They're wooden buildings, and you can have your extended family in there. And that is the American Indians. Cut it.
Cut.
Come on, Dietrich.
Cut. I keep pressing.
My mnemonic for the American Indian tribes is I know penguins lick icicles. So you take the first letter of each tribe, you start with the Inuit, you work your way down and then east across the country. So I, Inuit, no Kwakiutl, Penguins, Pueblo, Lick, Lakota, that doesn't sound right, and I, icicles for Iroquois.
Hurry now and get your buddies. It's time for fun with social studies. We're going to learn some history.